Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Quackcast episode 3? Question mark. Today, we're going to break down the matches from last week and also give a bit of insight on the matches for next week. Today, joined by Charlie as usual, just
Hi.
kind of in the background, but we also have Azure, and for Abyss, we have Expert, but we also have a bunch of other people in the call, but we'll get to them when we get to them. Everybody say hello.
Hi.
What up, gamers?
I'm already
I
so
don't like
nervous
the
about
show.
having. I'm already so nervous about having Expert on the cast.
Azure, it'll be
This-
fine. You'll
It's-
do great.
This is something that's bound.
Thank you.
The House of Cards bound to fall.
I believe in me too.
Oh, I don't.
That makes one of us.
You got this, Expert. I believe in you.
Thank you. Thank you. That makes two
Alright.
of us.
So in the purpose of making this fast, since our good old Hockaday foolishly has a set schedule today because he's a loser, we're
Let's
just gonna break
go.
it down right into Abyss. So Hawk,
Yep.
lead us off.
So, first match that we're going to talk about is Gekugujo versus Foreman. Charlie, that's how you say it.
Yeah.
I know you have pronunciation issues. But currently the people played, we had Scream support, Jay Swervy in jungle, Destroyer mid, Port Degree and solo. Furballer played ADC for Gekukujo. And on the crew side, which unfortunately, looking at their rosters, seem to have gotten work diffed, but we have Drezzy being called up from Deep Sea playing support. We have Jagan in solo, Specify in ADC, Venatus in jungle, and we had Gambit playing mid. Azure, do you want to start us off and kind of talk about your thoughts about this set?
Well, I say this now, having most of the sets kind of clear in my head right now after thanks to my internet being very rushed to finish all the gauntlet stats. It definitely seemed like they definitely got worked in schedule diff, considering BurgerBot wasn't there. They called up Drezzy, which means I actually don't know who their regular starting support is, but
Isn't it
they-
Kaizo?
oh yeah, Kaizo, the Wonder Duo themselves were not there.
Mhm.
So that was definitely a big positive if you're a Gekukujo player, and a big negative if you're a Foreman player, because me and Expert have very recent experience with the Drezzy support.
Yeah.
How is that?
Yeah,
How
so-
is the Drezzy support? I can only imagine it's. He
Well,
talks
he's
just
like a
as much as he
solo
does in
winner,
mid.
but he's in support.
If you give him a damage god, he'll do fine, but he also W keys it down. I mean, he didn't play bad by the seams of it, considering the rest of the team. I mean, at the end of the day, this was definitely just a mishmash put together team.
Mhm.
So, can put an asterisk on it if you're a Foreman player. You will see Gekukujo at some point, second time before the playoffs roll around. So you can definitely get your get back when your full roster is there and is at full strength.
Yeah, I think it'll be a lot better for them, especially because the way I look at it, I think that besides the fact that it was kind of a work diff and a put together roster that probably doesn't have as much synergy as the other roster. I think, in general, I think game one, I think Gekukujo just had a really nasty team comp. Sun Wukong, you had Yamoja with Hebo in kind of a Rama, and the most picked up pick of Abyss so far, played in all 4 games, is Set. I'm going to ask you, Expert, how come Set is being so prioritized in Abyss, especially in higher level play?
So Set just brings a lot of pressure, specifically in the mid lane.
Mhm.
There's not a lot of mids who can rival like how hard he can get in there. So if you want to have a heavy dive like Set, there's Payway who's really good. That's banned a lot, so that's like the second option you go to. It's a really effective dive tool out of the mid
Mhm.
lane.
That's cool. Yeah, and then I think especially Destroyer was absolutely cooking on this on the set. I think he played very, very well in their set, kind of going 14-2, kind of leading game 1, and then game 2 running it back, going 15-5. In my opinion, I think that's really where they shined, especially kind of the backline of this set, with kind of Furballer following close behind. And I think this backline so far showing that they're very, very scary. And I think just kind of off their backs is what led to this kind of first 2-0. Does anybody else have anything to say about this set?
I mean, like I said, I mean, now that I look at the roster specifically, because Burger Boy is definitely one of the few people who very promptly gave me his starting roster. I mean, not having your entire mid 3v3 core just kind of sucks. I mean, I
Yeah.
can't lie. You're missing Helenu, Burger Boy, and Kaizo, and then you're just kind of mishmashing whatever you can. Props to them for getting the game played. In as recent as literally last season, some teams will just straight up FF this game. So props to them for playing a game, coming out to play, especially Drezzy, after already playing playing week one multiple times even. So it's good to see it. Good to see them come out and play, even if it is just in a losing effort.
Yeah.
I think. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say, game 2, if I ever see a backlane dropping like 71k, like, and everyone else around them is like 20, 30k, yeah, that backline's just a monster. Like, Destroyer wasn't just picking up last hits, he did 40k damage, 25 KP. The guy's a monster. Guy's always been a monster. We're big Destroyer fans.
Huge Destroyer fans here.
Mhm.
So with that, I think that's everything for that set. So we'll move on to Revenants versus Swarm. Another 2-0, but for this one we had Rio Kurg in support. We had Effective in mid. Calcular ADC. We had Drew's Food in solo. Or no, I'm
No,
so
that is Drew's
confused.
Food jungle.
Drew's
He
Food
did indeed
jungle.
play
Okay.
Xingtian jungle.
That's what confused me. I should have looked at the second screenshot. But then we have Bean Soup Bob, who I recently played with in a casual, and he stomped me in solo. And then on the other side, we had Kane Tempest support, Justin Hu jungle, Slayer in ADC, Zarizen in support, and Donnie in jungle or mid.
Donnie's-
Sorry,
There we go.
Donnie. Yes. Charlie,
Yeah.
you want to lead us off with this one?
So game 1 kind of looked like the Justin Hu project that we saw last season, where Justin was getting in there, he's getting his last hits, he was just trying to fry as much as possible. I think overall, his set pick has just kind of looked like a monster from every single team that we've seen pick it up in Abyss. It didn't do the most on the KP side, but did a whole, I imagine provided a lot of dive, a lot of just get in there, good follow-up off the Jing Chen going in, good follow-up off the Ama going in. Just a whole lot of just annoyance from this set. Effective had just an all-star game on the other side though. 33k, and from this Cernunnos, 10, 5, and 4, just absolutely was the, in my opinion, looks like the big difference maker. And in game 2, we got to see kind of everyone start to just really pop off. We got to see Juice Food really put in the work on this Kleena. Bean Soup going, just being annoying on this Nike, just doing what he does best. And on the other side, we saw some flashes of brilliance, specifically from Justin and Gumbo. Justin, who also piloted this set and found some success, but wasn't really quite able to really carry that to a win. Gumbo trying his best, Slayer trying his best to really have a whole lot of impact, but wasn't the most successful at finding that.
Yeah, when I look at these screenshots, to me it looks like game 1 was probably very, very close. Consider you look at the damage numbers where Effective is definitely outshining a lot of players on their team, and then you go to the other side and you have Slayer, Justin, and Johnny kind of all outpacing the other side. So in my mind, this seems like a very, very close first game that probably came down to just a couple of fights. Effective seemed to kind of do similar things in game 2, but it seems like the team found its synergy and probably kind of cleaned it up a lot, moving on to probably an easier victory in game 2. Expert, do you have any opinions on this set?
On the set or the set? Oh,
The
I know
set.
what you mean now. I know what you mean now. I know what you mean now. Okay. Well, Looks to me like Bean Soup Bob really cooked. One of the better solo winners. Not as good as me, but he's okay. Yeah, looks like he cooked. Yeah, that's all I got from the screenshots.
I think that's
That's all I really look at is solo winners.
I think that's the nicest thing you've ever said about Bean Soup.
Thank you.
No
That's
problem.
the only thing I've ever said about him.
Really? I feel like I don't know.
Yeah, I've never talked to the guy. I've never interacted with him.
Huh. Interesting. All right, moving on to Deep Sea. As I take Hawk's job, bravely. We have Tyrants versus Tailed Beast. Hawk, do you want to break down the rosters? You want to do that part of your job?
Sure, I can do that. No problem. So Tailed Beast versus the Tyrants. So that's on the Tyrant side. We had Narwhal Goat in mid lane. We had Benson support T Clark, who isn't that Poyo, right?
That is
Uh,
correct.
Yep.
ADC, 12-inch in solo, and things go boom in jungle. And on the Tailed Beast side, we had Skizzy in mid, Kalobski, sorry, in ADC. That Evelyn, sorry,
Evelyn.
jungle, Twitchy one, Evelyn, sorry, Twitchy one nut support, and Deathly in solo.
Here to talk about the set in general, we have Narwhal. Narwhal, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Charlie. Thanks for asking. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Talk to me a bit about what this set was like, kind of playing it. Did you guys think that this went the way that you expected it to, or was this kind of like more of a surprise for you guys? How did the other people
Going
look?
into this, going into the set was kind of an issue to begin with from the start, since schedules weren't lining up to begin with. So Deathly and I were just picking out a day where we could make it. However, unfortunately, Cyber and Dalla both couldn't make it. So knowing that information, I kind of expected us to just to owe the team no disrespect to them, because they have Kolopsky, very solid at ADC. Deathly always holds his own in lane, and my personal goat Skizzy in mid. So I expected to at least like fight for it to an extent. However, as the games played out, the longest game we had was around like 32 minutes, which is like the first game where Boyle was just like denting their craniums in with ROM snipes, and Slick just going monkey mode on them. So we just kind of ran away in team fights and just siege like pretty cleanly. Game 2 was a little bit more of a massacre. Skizzy decided to play Chernobog, which is a god he's never played, so things didn't go very well for them, and they ended up kind of dropping the ball, and we ended it like 20 minutes or so. Kind of a little disappointing of a set, because they didn't have full roster, but like, what can you do? Schedules happen.
Exactly. So, biggest thing, well, if you had to point like an MVP out from both your team and the other team, who would you kind of give that to?
From our side, I think it's got to be Boyle for MVP. He doesn't miss any of his autos, doesn't miss any single abilities, and his positioning makes it so the dive has to absolutely commit to him in order to like try getting anything out of him, which in turn allows us to just like cast them and then run at their backline once we deal with them. And from the enemy side, I think at first I would have given it to Skizzy, since he was basically matching my numbers while being down. However, I think I have to give it to Deathly, since he played most consistently throughout both games, game 1 and game 2. He wasn't like the reason that game went as poorly as they did. He was just in his lane, and it was unfortunate that the rest of the game collapsed before he could rotate.
Five-laner syndrome. Hawk, do you
Just
have any?
solo lane moment.
Hawk, do you have any
Well,
questions?
I think it
Thoughts?
just probably feels really good to play with a very good ADC, doesn't it, Narwhal?
Yeah, 2 seasons in a row, good ADC. You love to see it.
Oh, you love to see it. I think I'm very, very, very happy how this set turned out, because in the cast last week, we kind of all, I'll be honest, we all were against you,
When aren't you?
and you guys kind of came out and showed us, kind of what your team is capable and what kind of synergy you have, and I just hope that, the rest of the season goes this way, and I'm on your back as always.
It's gonna have like another Narwhal moment. I'm gonna have everyone praying on my downfall. I'm gonna climb out of the pits. Just do what we got to do.
Mm-hmm. But other than that, yeah, I think everything he said, I think Pollo really popped off And I think just this mid 3v3 especially, and the just kind of backline of this team very shines. And I think 12-inch does a great job of giving them space to do that. But other than that, I don't really have anything else to kind of pinpoint.
Yeah, that seems about right. Very accurate synopsis. We are going to be moving on to our next set recap. We have Pipers versus Race. I have two of you guys be able to talk about it, but first, Hawk, break down the rosters for these.
Okay, for this set, on the side of the Pipers, we had Create Craft in ADC, Adora in jungle, Lovely Expert in solo, Ankh in support, and Milosis in mid. And on the other side, we had Physics in solo, Enraged Moose ADC, Terminator mid, Hunter in support, and Underclass Hero in jungle.
All right, I'm gonna start with Expert. Expert, what were your thoughts going into the set? How did you feel like did they live up to expectations going into it? Overall, how was the set to
Well,
play?
honestly, I expected a much harder time for me personally because I think Physics. I thought their jungler was gonna like camp me, something like that. You know, I was playing out of position, all set.
Right, no
That's really
wards,
unfortunate.
everything.
Yeah.
The usual Expert.
I was really impressed with specifically how our ADC played. I thought he was getting absolutely war crimed over there, and he just didn't die. He kept playing consistently, he'd call rotations, and I was really impressed with how he played. And honestly, that's just all it is for me. I was really impressed with our ADC.
Adora, gonna be throwing it over to you. What were your thoughts going into the set? Do you feel like they lived up to expectations? What was your kind of mindset going into week 1?
So besides me and Expert just doing whatever we want and basically bullying them the entire set, I don't really know why they ran that roster. Like, can we please put Hunter mid and like not troll our team? Like on paper, they have underclass jungle, physics, solo, which are good, but then we have Hunter support and then Rage Moose ADC, and yeah, that's not gonna win. Like I don't think they win. Like they just gotta change that. Yeah, I was expecting it to be a little harder, but with that roster, it's kind of just it wasn't really a competition.
Yeah, that's been something we've been consistently brought up over here about this team, is that we definitely expected this team to be running a very different roster. We expected this team to be running something like you said, like Hunter mid, Moose ADC, Moose support, Louis ADC. But do you think this roster needs more time in the oven, or do you think they should just kind of
on
need to blow it up?
On paper, the team is good. Like these are good players. They just I don't know why we're playing different roles, and like I don't know if they thought it was gonna be easy. Like they thought, oh, we'll just play whatever. Or I know they had Louis come in sub mid, but like I feel like putting him on support would have been better, and then Hunter mid, because support you can kind of just get away as like a sub role. Like you don't really need to grind support to like do things there. Like put him on Athena, he would just run around taunt. Like
yeah, you can put
I feel like
on that god. So.
I feel like mid you actually need someone good in that role. That role's pretty huge in the game right now.
Yeah.
Support you can just do whatever. Like you don't have to be good at that role.
Exactly.
I think if I was them, also hello, I am back.
Welcome back.
If I was them and Louis had to sub in, I think you just do the Moose support, Louis ADC, Hunter mid. I feel like that's just the most reasonable lineup to run.
That would be where my brain also goes, because like Louis and ADC, like you put Louis in a side lane and he'll perform, he'll do his job. So putting him in mid, my knowledge, Louis isn't like the most comfortable mid laner in the world, especially when you have people who are seasoned in both mid and support playing other roles. So it just feels a little bit confusing. I'm very interested to see if things will change after week 1, or if this will be a very consistent lineup that just is gonna take time to ramp up everything.
Going forward, like because it's just the start of the season, they should probably try and trade for like someone else in the dual lane, like either another support or another ADC. Because like Hunter mid, Physics solo, underclass jungle, like those are 3 good people for those roles. Like you don't need anyone else there. Those are locked. Just get either a different dual lane or someone else to help Moose or whatever. Move him support, get an ADC, and I think that team could be top 4, or top 3. Like that's a good team on paper.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you for you guys' input. If you guys had to pick a person from each team that were kind of MVPs during your guys' set, who would you say? We'll start with Expert.
Oh, for my team, of course, it's not my missing Nua mid. It's not my useless support. My jungler KS everything. Not my ADC. Oh, he was okay. But of course it's me. I was absolutely decimating lane.
I
It
would
wasn't even
say
close.
I would
I
say
love the
Expert.
humility
Yeah.
in here
I
right
would
now.
say Expert purely for the story that I heard from Expert's own mouth about what he called his specific matchup. When I believe he said he soloed him at one point or 1v2'd.
1v2 at the booba.
Yes.
And then scream
Am I
plumber.
allowed to say what I called him? Okay, well, yeah, I called him a plumber.
Expert did indeed call his op a plumber mid set after 1v2ing at a blue buff. So that alone just makes him win MVP.
Yeah. Yeah, we got soloed on another gank too. It was not a good
But
one.
honestly, Create Craft and ADC, he had a sneaky good set. Like he was not only diffing like both the dual lane, like support and ADC, like basically 1v2ing, getting war crimed. He was just hitting Brahma snipes. He was calling objectives. He was shot calling rotations. Like he had a sneaky good set. Like it probably doesn't go the way it did if the
Create wasn't
ADC.
there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I can get that. And from the other side, if you had to pick a player who was kind of standing out for good reasons.
That's a hard one.
I think he was the only one that was trying. The rest of them didn't wake up in the morning, right? They probably didn't eat breakfast or something. But he personally had an okay set. Yeah, so I guess he'll be the MVP for there.
What about you?
That's a hard question. I don't know. Fuck it, Louis, the sub goat.
Oh, well, there's
Yeah,
Adora's one.
At least they could play. At least they could play.
All right. Moving on to our next set. We have Journeyman versus Fiends in kind of a surprising 2-1 from my perspective. Hawk, do you want to break down these rosters right quick?
Sure. On the Fiend side, we had Kiba in support. We had Powa, of course, the GOAT in jungle. Cosmic mid, Honkler in solo, and Cheekage Bud in ADC. And Journeyman, we had Doom Sauce support, Indigo in solo, Drezzy in mid, Omni based in ADC, and Kai in jungle.
And then Hawk, what were your kind of thoughts looking at this set? Like
looking at this set, I think like everybody are surprised that the Fiends didn't come out of the gate swinging like we
I
thought
think
they
it's
would.
surprising that in game 1, I mean, let's just say it how it is. They got stomped like a bug.
Yep.
Yeah, like
Because if we're looking at this, that's what 66k gold for the Fiends and 83k for the Journeyman. Like they
Yeah.
just got kind of slaughtered.
yeah,
And
especially kind of the back line, like we kind of predicted for this Journeyman team, is very, very strong, and they came out absolutely swinging in game 1.
And then game 2, I mean, this seems like it was just a slug, like a war, quite frankly. I mean, all you have to do is just look at the total gold, and you can tell this game went the distance. And game, I'm assuming the Journeyman might have just ran out of gas, because in game 3, the Fiends, I mean, I'm gonna be honest, they did what I expected them to do the whole set. I'm not gonna lie, I thought the Fiends would just kind of come in quick 2-0, but it's surprising to see it the Journeyman. I mean, kind of smacked them into orbit.
Also, they gave Powa Pele. Can we not give him Pele, bro? That's his best god.
Yeah.
That's an easy win for him.
Yeah, if I'm giving, like, kind of, if I'm looking at any jungler and saying, they're a hyper carry jungler, that'd be Powa. I'd probably not give him Pele right now. personally.
Yeah, because he was playing that god even before she got turbo buffed.
Yeah, like the guy will just carry games on it. Yeah, I was especially surprised on. I'm in your guys' boat. I was surprised how games 1 and 2 went. Game 1 for going the way of the Journeyman, and it was kind of relatively clean. And game 2 being as drawn out as it was, I definitely didn't expect for this Fiends roster to have some like ramp up time. But that might just be a moment where you're playing with a sub, and therefore it's a little awkward. But overall, I was definitely surprised. I expected more of a game 3 kind of game from them, like off the rip. I think game 3 is where I was looking at them and like, okay, that's a Fiends roster. I expected to walk into this. You have Awa doing whatever he wants. You have Cosmic also doing whatever he wants. Game 3.
Do you know the picks and bans for that game? Like what went first?
I do not know personally.
I assume Raijin got picked
I
first,
would
and then they gave him Pele and like Geb or Agni.
Yeah, I would have to assume. That's my only thought.
I'm gonna be honest. I know Drizzy's going Raijin, but Raijin's just such a bait. I mean, if Pele's up, I would rather pick
Pele's up, you
Pele
take
over
Pele,
Raijin.
because
Yeah.
the number one thing that I've learned as Raijin is meta is what does Raijin not deal with? Hard dive. What does Pele do?
Hard dive.
Hard dive.
Destroys him.
Yeah, like absolutely. Just doesn't let him have a
Like
fun time.
if you look at the score, like if he just doesn't have Pele, like if he's on any other god, Journeyman probably win. Like
Yeah, I think Journeyman 2-0 actually if
yeah.
Power doesn't get Pele.
Completely different set. But overall, I
And
think...
and I mean, not to overlook him, but Cosmic, I mean, he put on a show of his own.
Oh yeah,
too,
1000%.
with the 56k bomb, top damage in the whole lobby, 9-3-14. I mean,
If they first pick Pele, Cosmic probably doesn't. They probably don't top 2 the Agni, and then Drizzy gets Agni on the second for second or third, and so they get Pele Agni. Like if they switch comps, like Journeyman just win. Like it just looks like a comp diff, like a draft diff.
Yeah,
I think it was just a P's and B's just won them the game.
Yeah, it seems like whichever team got Agni the set was kind of just going to be the team to just completely fry on the god. I think both players had a really good bet when they were on the Agni, and I'm not going to say blended into the background, but didn't quite have the same type of performance on other picks. Because I think that this Agni was just kind of... It showed that both mid laners were super comfy on it. Both mid laners were able to play safe, fry, or as safe as Drizzy's willing to play on it. Both just able to get a lot of numbers out. I'm hoping that next week we see much more of a game 3 Fiends and not a game 1 and 2 Fiends, because I think that if this is a sign of what's to come, I'm a bit hesitant on this Fiends team moving forward. But overall, moving on to our final little set, we have Hellet versus
Don't even bother.
Can you pronounce the name?
Because I don't think I know how to pronounce her
Can
team
you
name
pronounce
either.
the name?
I think it's Ona Hanti.
Are you talking about Homahiti? Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? That's the name. We roll with it.
Sure.
Yeah, cool.
Onahati, Onahata.
Azure got away with murder
Yeah, I don't really understand how he was into a show. I just don't get it.
on Thor, man.
Bro, he's missing every Thor and he's winning.
Here to talk about the set will be Huntress, and Azure is always here, so he'll be here to talk about it as well.
Well, I was
Just
the one who
nothing
played,
but
so I don't think I should.
Ox.
The roster for this set was going to be Jackson solo, Azure in jungle, Recast in mid, Noxus in support, and Reaper ADC. That will be Hontai, whatever, however you pronounce it. However,
Why are you saying hentai?
Oh, Hawk, I don't think we can say that, man.
On the other side, we have Rekka or Azure 2 in
Officially Azure 2, by the way.
Azure 2. Rekka in solo, Dragon in jungle, Chef in Super Chef, not Chef. Super Chef in mid, Trexie in support, and Luke in ADC. Uzor, talk to me about playing through the set. Did you feel like this team lived up to expectations? What was kind of mindset?
Well,
going
I
into
think
it?
we definitely overachieved our expectations. If you heard, because I mean, I'm gonna be honest. The peanut gallery there in Adora talking about I got away with murder. No, Noxus got away with murder for winning a comp set in support.
I mean, I'll just to give a little bit of background about this team. Like, it's been an absolute shit show.
Oh well, there's your one.
Hey, I was told I was given one or
Cursing
two.
days
Like,
today.
it's fine. Anyways, it's been a mess, and like half the team at the beginning of the season was like, just drop me or trade me. I don't want to be here. I don't think this team's gonna go anywhere. And I was just like, you just gotta trust me. And ended up pulling a few strings, getting some people pulled together. And we're just cooking now. I think we've got a solid setup, a few sleepers, and I think it's just gonna do well moving forward.
The free agent team.
The free agent team.
I've dropped and picked up more free agents, I think, this season than anybody else
Oh,
combined.
I just want to say, compared to the Fiends of last season, we've already succeeded their expectations from last season because we actually won.
You have 3 points exactly. That was. I think Fiends got like a grand total of like 5.
They got an FF win. That doesn't
FF
count.
win. That is true.
So
Actual set
as the
win.
one who played the set quite literally, so I already thought from the start I wasn't gonna have fun because I said, you know what, Thor kind of goes super hard here, and then they picked Naja Nox into me, which is just like, okay, man, like really, you're just not gonna let me play the game? And I'm not gonna lie, as I don't know how much banter expert over there has dropped, but besides the Nox and Luke, who is my teammate in OSL, so I already knew he was gonna have impact. I didn't really feel any pressure from the other 3 players in the like. I'm sure my backline definitely dealt with Rekka a lot more than I did, as I was just hovering the air half the time.
Bro, you can just say he played bad.
But for the Naja being there mostly likely to counter me, didn't do that. The Scylla, for being as safe as it is, got caught in my dunks way more often than she should have. And do not let the 10K fool you into thinking this was like as close as some people may think it is for our free agent team. Besides Luke, and keep in mind, we started this game down because Luke got the first purple buff at level 2 and killed my duo lane. So we were down from the start. And we quite literally just came back and let the Freya just int, because we always figured just, death ball the Freya and frustrate him, which is what happened. And then we took that momentum into game 2 and beat them by 15k in a borderline arena game.
Did Luke play mid game 2, by the way?
No, that is
Raijin
so.
ADC?
Yes, that is
Okay.
Raijin ADC that I can definitely tell everyone, dude. When there is a mid hovered in your set against the Helots, there's a 50-50 chance it'll go to ADC, because Luke has an obsession with mages lately. All because that man played Thoth in the SPL.
Don't you know Luke's like almost an SPL? Like,
Yeah.
come on.
I mean, he looked like it carrying that team.
Yeah. I mean, going into it, I knew Luke was going to be probably the big all-star of their team, and just, I think I told Azur, just make sure you focus duo lane.
Which, I mean, I did. I definitely did once I got the team fights, because I think we definitely exceeded our expectations. That I think division wide, everyone thought of us that we were going to get 2-0'd, including myself. I also willed this into existence, I'm going to say, because I came on the Quackcast and said we are 2-0ing this team, and there is nothing to be said about it.
And
I was sitting there messaging him about it, and I was like, homie, I know you're not gaslighting and trying to be in my DM saying, I don't want to be here, we're going to lose this, and then just doing that.
Hey, man. It's next generation levels of just big brain that you wouldn't understand.
At least I got to hit you with the woman moment of, I told you so, I was right.
That is true. That
Woman
supersedes
moment.
everything.
But overall, like I said in my tier list when I made a week 1 performance list, dual lane is definitely that team's biggest strength. It was definitely the biggest obstacle to get to late game. I will say, because the issue was, they started early playing very aggressively with the Najah Nox, and then for some reason they just completely stopped looking at me, and then just let me dunk. Like according to Reaper, I was hitting 3 to 4 man dunks like consistently in the late game. So
Right. Okay.
they just completely forgot that. Oh yeah, there's a global ult Thor in the game.
Oh yeah, that guy's just gonna kill me.
Yeah, they like once we got to the mid to late game where we sort of started consistently being able to kill the Freya, and this is just game 1 because game 2 I think we just kind of comfortably stomped them. I'm not even gonna lie. Like yeah, we just kind of figured Luke likes to play aggressive, so we're gonna punish him that with the Agni and the Thor walls, and yeah, I'd get his beats for free, just Thor walling him and comboing him, and then free casts and Jeximus. By the way, every captain fumbled not picking those players up, and I will let it be known for the rest
I've
of the
been
season that
previously
they fumbled.
burned. I've been burned by it in the past.
Yeah, okay, buddy. Fumble not picking them up. Okay.
Free cat, like I'd heard like some really good things about him and kind of some of his background, and I messaged him. I was like, "Hey, do you want to play some casuals?" Because this is the time like Cooter is being dropped, and I was like, "Well, who can I fill out the roster with?" I was like, so I messaged him, went and played some casuals with him, and I was like, "By the way, I'm playing you. Just be prepared to be here Friday." And I was not at all surprised by how well he performed. This guy has got it going on. He used to be a massive Dota player. He's got the MOBA game set mind. He's still kind of learning some of the mechanics of Smite, but I think once he picks up on it, he's going to be one of the top players for Smite.
I just can't wait for the week we play the Pipers and for Expert to get soloed and get called a plumber live on the Quackcast the week after.
Oh my god. Bold of you to assume he's not going to get on 8
No,
levels.
that'll be the
Plumber
week.
133.
That'll be the week we harass
of you to
Expert to come
assume
back
that.
here.
The
I'm
plumber
just simply better
133.
than everyone else in this division, okay? Nobody has a chance against me.
Moving on to our final division, we have Shallows. Starting up on Priest versus Nagatsune. Hawk, if you're sentient, you want to break down these
I'm
rosters?
sentient. I'm here.
All right.
New Shallows player Hawk, by the way,
New
We'll get to
getting
that.
released by the Journeyman and is now an apprentice.
Yeah.
We'll get there. We'll get there when we get there.
Priest versus Nagatsune. You want to break down the rosters and give us our thoughts?
Yeah, of course. Well, in the division of 2-1s, for the Priest in Nagatsune, we had Anthony Senpai in mid, Auberg, of course, in jungle, Banana Council, who's now, and I quote, among us feet picks, in support. I think they had an EMFA for their solo lane, or because I don't recognize that player, Papa C, in solo. But then you
It
had
was
Uchi.
a drop from Deep Sea, I believe.
Gotcha. And then we had Uchi, of course, in ADC. Nagatsune, we had Deception in support, Sweaty ADC, Sabnova in mid, Ionicus in solo, and the boy Timbo twice in jungle.
Timbozo twice.
I mean, I'll start us off because first off, big mistake giving Timbo Thor game 1. As you can see, went 13-1. Absolutely ran kind of the first game. But then after that, they banned it. And I think Timbo is probably the strongest piece on this team, if you look at the screenshots. But it just seems to be overall, I think the Priest kind of worked a lot better. And especially having Anthony Senpai, which we thought Bankrupt was going to be their mid laner. I don't know if he got work diffed or what. But really on the back of this, Anthony Senpai played Thoth, Zilla, and Thoth. Kind of ran game 2 and 3.
Yeah, his damage numbers look actually very particularly good. I'm not even gonna lie.
Game 2, 10k damage diff between him and the next person in the whole lobby.
Yeah. It is
like absolutely insane performance on the Scylla game 2. I understand why they were like, you know what, let's give him the Thoth again instead. That will work out better.
Yeah, I mean it's good. It's good to take off into there. I mean, you're not gonna get dunked by Rat Thor. Figured game 1 is just Timbo. I mean, he still put up damage numbers. He competed with Timbo, who had 13 kills, by the way. So he definitely can't play Thoth. Plays it into a much better comp with the much better comp around him, and I mean, he shows out with the top damage. Well, on his team, Sody Sax actually dropping 52k in defeat.
Yeah, this set was kind of, I was surprised with the amount of 2-1s in Shallows in general, and this was another one that I was kind of surprised to be a 2-1. But Timbo's a pop-off player, so it's not like groundbreaking, but the fact that Timbo got Thor, which I felt like is kind of, it's a god that Timbo's like synonymous with. Like in jungle, he's gonna play Thor. So the fact he was able to get that game 1, had a very, very good performance on it, 100% KP on this Thor, which means that if Timbo wasn't there, action was not happening on this side of the Nagatsune, and was just able to kind of be the pace setter for his team. Followed a similar trend game 2, but couldn't quite put it together, especially into a backline of Scylla Charybdis. That backline is annoying to dive as a rat, just in general. Overall, they adapted, played around Timbo in the jungle, played to shut him down. They were able to do that towards the late game. They adapted fairly well. I think this Priest team, they did fine. They did fine. I don't know. I didn't see, besides like the usual Auberg, playing like a very hyper carry style. Didn't really see a whole lot insane, maybe out of Anthony, but that's about it. I felt like this team was kind of a more complete experience, where you were just, these were 5 people working together. It wasn't like someone like actively just hard carrying them. It just felt like it was much more of a team effort. But yeah, that's that set. On to our next set.
So Charlie,
What's
the
up?
amount of 2-1s, you mean all of them?
All of them. Yes, the amount of 2-1s. I'm surprised that every set was a 2-1. Okay. It was very surprising, and the one that I think is the most surprising is going to be this next one. Legionnaires, like reigning defending champs, 3 people on the roster who just won last season, 2-1 the Triton Sales. Scrolling. Overall, Hawk, you want to break down these rosters?
Yeah, so on the side of the Legionnaires, we have Tubby in solo, or in support, my bad. Payload is now jungling for this team with Narco, Marco in solo. Cairo, of course, in mid, and we had Cornball now being the ADC on this team. And on the other side, we had Jungle Jimmy, still not in jungle, in support. Neptune in mid, Zapsy in ADC. We had Captain Cab solo, and Berry Toppings in jungle.
You can break this set down first, because I'm going to be a little mean about it when I get to it.
Okay. I mean, from an outside perspective, you guys might be surprised at, the two, not a 2-0, the 2-1. But I'm going to be honest, I think with all of the kind of the fact that the Legionnaires are all moving around in roles, and the fact that I think the Triton Snails on paper are a very good team, I'm surprised that this is, or not surprised that it was as contested as it was, because I just think, Zapsy and Neptune is a very, very good backline, and now they have Captain Cab coming out in solo, who, from what I heard, is a very, very good player, and looking at the numbers, probably the hard carry on this team. But in general, I think maybe that they came out game 1 looking really good. But as you can see and have probably heard, someone didn't take games 2 and 3 very well. But that's another thing.
Yeah, so game 3,
definitely the story of Shallows.
the story of
Yeah.
Shallows. Yeah, game 3 they were playing without Cab, which I can kind of forgive their performance game 3 a bit more. Like, if Cab is who you're playing through, and it seems like it, through not only their compositions but through stat lines as well. If he's missing game 3, you're gonna feel a massive hole, and it's gonna get exploited very easily. That being said, for how on fire they were last season, playoffs run, I'm kind of critical on this one. Kyra, really good set. We'll say this is kind of the person I will be giving the least about because like he played well. He played a really good.
He
Mori
showed up
game.
and he played mid.
Exactly. He showed up. He played mid. He played Mori. He played Thoth, and then he played MILF. He the 3 gods he played well. I have no complaints on Kyra's end. He showed up. It looks like they just threw game 2 though. Like, it looks like they just threw like 2-3 fights game 2, and then just lost the game. If that's happening, I imagine it's around fire, which with the composition they have, I don't think they should ever be losing a firefight, personally. And if it's not at fire,
Shoutouts to both junglers for getting to 120k gold deep and both doing sub 20k damage. By the way,
yeah.
One is forgivable because he's not a jungler.
Yeah.
The other is not forgivable because of how much he talks.
So my biggest thing about this overall team was I was actually very critical of the Arthur pickup. I think right now Arthur is in a really weird spot. I think Arthur is he's fine, but if I'm seeing like gods like Kara and Hades running around, I'm probably not leaning towards the Arthur, personally. It's not like I'm doing anything special to the Raijin on her backline that I wouldn't do on something else, like a Wukong, like a Kukulin, like a Achilles, like an Amma. Like there's a lot of, you can go deeper in the god pool and find a lot more consistent picks. He put up a large amount of numbers on this Arthur, did well, but makes me wonder if when it came to sieging, this could have been a potential issue because it kind of does get shut down by this Karon quite a bit in game 2. But game 3 seemed to have a good performance. The biggest thing I wonder about this team is that if every week is going to be a 2-1 like it was last season,
I don't think like the Arthur pick it. Like I think we're zeroing in a little too hard on it.
I'm zeroing a bit too hard on it. I will say yes.
Because I mean I'm not gonna lie. I see one side lane currently getting 10k damage diff. So Zapsy, shout out to him for having a good set.
Yeah.
Well, a good game 2. I actually didn't pay attention too hard to his game 3 or 1. But I think the Arthur pick is fine. I also think your siege is personally fine because you have Cherno to split push and you have Maui to pull their beads.
Yeah.
You know, when they're sitting under their bird. So I'd imagine the game was not lost on sieges. It was probably just
firefights.
More so big firefights that got lost.
But I
think the Arthur pick is personally fine. Build looks fine. His numbers look really good. I think
to pull attention to the Arthur again, he has more damage or more damage mitigated than the support and the jungle on the other team combined. The dude was absolutely getting pumped and just not giving a fuck about it. Oh shit.
Oh, well, there's 2. There's your 2.
I'm muting.
No.
From what I've been told, that Narco Marco is very comfortable.
I hit the wrong button.
Good job, Charlie.
I hit the wrong button. Continue, Hawk.
I said what I said.
I didn't hear
We're
what
good.
you said.
Oh, I just said that I don't hate the King Arthur pick because from what I've heard, Narco Marco is very good on it and very comfortable on it.
But yeah, if I didn't have that level of ball knowledge, so that is
we're just gonna glaze over game 3 and the events of it. Every Shallows player knows about the events. I'm sure all the captains definitely told their players about it. So
somebody has to fill me in. I don't know the events.
After the stream, you get to know. But moving on, Charlie.
Moving on to our next set, we have Fledglings
Another
versus
2-1. Who would have thought?
Fledglings versus Ghouls 2-1. This was Baba Gate. This was
oh my god!
It's Baba Gate.
Shallows moment.
Another Shallows moment.
Oh,
shout out to Sparkdow for dealing with it.
Defeated before it even began.
Hawk, can you break down the rosters right quick and your thoughts on the overall set?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so we had Buckwheat in support for the Fledglings, Chase ADC, Lana in mid. We had Devin Friscote coming in at jungle, and Evo in solo lane. And on the other side, we had Cusco jungle, Flamu in support, Rim Cleaner mid, Simon in solo, and Kiki Jiki ADC. So my initial thoughts is, first of all, I am very happy that the fledglings won. I'm surprised. I think there was a lot of drama that didn't need to happen, and kind of beforehand that kind of led to an overall, probably kind of maybe frustration on the side of the ghouls. And you could tell in game one, because the fledglings absolutely came out swinging. My thoughts are Lana played very well, considering the fact that she was locked into Baba Yaga the entire set. And I think if you get Evo on gods that are very, very high pressure and kind of very easy to play, unlike it like an Ama, I think he's the hard carry for this team because that man went 8-0 on Sun Wukong and 4-0 on Kukulin. And also just a great showing from Frisco, who was effectively coming off the bench. Who knows now? But I think, maybe there's.
I've always believed in Devin first goat stocks.
Yeah,
I'm a
I just
Frisco
think
believer.
the ghouls maybe have some things to figure out before the next set. But other than that, I think they had a strong game too. Kind of coming off the back, especially with their team comp, I thought was really good.
Shout out to Kiki Jiki for the 10-3 performance.
Mm-hmm.
That guy
Yeah,
was,
What is
that
that,
guy was a
dropping
monster.
43k? Rim Cleaner pulling out the Morrigan, likely doing some double Sun Wukong shenanigans. Simon as well, 7-0-19.
mm-hmm.
Very, very good bounce back from
Mm-hmm.
sorry, the ghouls. I almost called them legionnaires due to the similar colors on the
Yeah.
Discord. But I mean, yeah, just a very good set all around. Likely, seemingly the most competitive one, despite the Baba Gate shenanigans.
Okay, exactly.
Yeah.
From being there live watching it, game 1 ghouls versus game 2 ghouls felt like a different team, like entirely. I don't know where this ghouls was game 1, because this game 2 ghouls, like I guarantee you, if they play like the way they did in game 2 for the rest of the season, that team is lethal. That team is scary. That's a team I put in top 3 every single time. Game 2 ghouls, up there. Simon's annoying and unkillable. Kiki is just there following up and everything. Rim was doing the most annoying double rat shenanigans I've ever seen. Like, and then Kuzcode was just
Excuse me.
Kuzcode was getting in there, providing.
He was Kuz coding.
He was in sync and getting rewarded for it, man. He keeps doing it.
He can't keep getting away.
He can't keep getting away with it.
Oh, he wasn't game 1 or 3. I'll be honest. But game 2 definitely got away with it.
Yeah. Game 3 was way more competitive than games 1 and or was way more competitive than game 1. Not quite as much as game 2. Like you highlighted, Evo had a really good performance on this Wukong. And I will say, that line doesn't show it, but my personal MVP for the set is Devin. The amount of pressure and space that Devin would provide off of just pressing 4 inside of a wall was insane. Like,
wow, it's almost like he played Cleo.
Cleo moment.
Listen, man. Around every objective,
I love the Frisco, but come on, man.
Around every objective, Devin was actually getting stuff done, and I was proud of him. I was proud of my little Frisco.
I will say, for all the drama, considering that this set happened right before last week's Quackcast, for all these shenanigans about what roster we were running, yeah, I mean, he came out and performed.
Exactly. And then on the other side, I think Simon played a really good set. Kiki also, like, I'd say these side lanes for this Ghouls roster, like, absolutely had an amazing showing.
If you're Cruise Code, you're playing through these 2 lanes.
Exactly, 1000%.
Like every week. You see, which is the weaker of the enemy team's side lanes, and then just gank them off cooldown.
Because even, like, as a collective 2 in game 1, the game that is probably the most stompy out of them, those 2 died a collective 2 times put together out of 18 deaths. So I think I'm playing through them. I think I'm making sure they get ahead, because if they get ahead, they'll stay ahead. They'll, like we saw in game 2, they'll carry you to a game win. But yeah, that this was a super competitive set watching it live. And I believe that this Ghouls roster, even in like a loss, I think if they play anywhere similar they did game 2, that team is just insane. actually killer roster.
That is definitely probably the most aggressive team in
Oh,
Shadow.
1000%.
You have Kuzcode and Simon together. Those guys are just gonna deathball you.
Mm-hmm. All right, on to our next set. We have Apprentices versus Noms, and we have 2 people to break this one down.
Doms?
Noms.
I'll try to stop swearing. Sorry.
So Hawk, break down the rosters, and then we will throw it over to both
Yeah.
Line and Cactus.
Of course, I'll break down the rosters. So, for the apprentices, we had Uzi in support, Diesel in mid, Lineman in solo, Fogel ADC, and Ross in the jungle. Something's missing from this roster. And then on the other side, we had Striker jungle, or Call Me Go Nuts in mid, GWS My Goat in ADC, Learbeard in solo, and Cactus Arms in support.
So before we let you guys break this down, we're gonna break this down based on, we're gonna let the winner of each game go first, thanks to Alignment posting them in order like a good boy.
Mhm.
So we are gonna start with Cactus Arms in game 1, and to talk about how he saw it from his side, then Lineman can retort, and then we go Lineman game 2 and 3.
Yeah. So to start out with game 1, we were going into it sort of big oof style. Our mid was able to make it, who was my number 1 overall draft pick. I definitely think he's a contender for MVP this season, but like I said, he wasn't able to make it, so we ended up rotating our solo into mid, and then pulled from our bench for our solo with Patro. Game 1 all around felt like it was a super close game. Lineman in the gang had us off balance for, I want to say, probably the first 20 minutes of the game, and then we ended up having a really good fire giant fight, and then you guys know how it can go from there. The game just sort of
Snowballs
kept
and
rolling
spirals.
slowly till it sort of shot off a cliff with another really good fire giant fight to end out the game. It was interesting. The amount of kills that the amount of kills Go-Go Nuts got snagged from right underneath his nose was hilarious. We were clowning him the whole game for it. He ended up managing to get 0 kills. Over the course of, I don't think he ended up getting a kill until, I want to say, 15 something minutes into game 2. But also managed to end with, not bad player damage, 20k on a Thoth in a game that ended up, I think, going about 30 minutes. Isn't horrible, not the best, but a solo laner in mid can only go so well. Gotta rewire the brain a little bit. We definitely the Arachne tripped us up pretty hard. Character was, brain dead character being played with a brain sort of hurts to play against sometimes. And that was definitely a strong situation of that. So we had to sort of get our stuff together and deal with that before we figured out what else we were trying to do.
All right. And then Lineman, would you like to tell your story about game 1 and then also transition into game 2?
Yeah, but before that, so guys, like last week, you guys said, if Cuba doesn't get Wi-Fi diff or internet diff, yeah, that's who's missing from this roster, and we had to make like last second changes and pull people. So Ross ended up having to go to jungle, and Uzi came in and played support because 10 minutes before the game, Cuba's internet just took a dump. So we had to make that change. Saw the Cthulhu pick, and we locked in the Arachne, figuring we could just play this back to front or front to back. And it just didn't work out. Like first, like you said, 15, 20 minutes, we were on point. Comms were great. And then just 3 or 4 really bad fights we took. We got split. The Ganesha Cthulhu just causing pressure. I mean, Fogel on the older on there just did everything he could with his ults. But that Cthulhu was just oppressive at the end. It was like they were able to free cast. Also, Striker, man, like early game, he was kind of struggling, but as soon as he got that build online, whew, he was just killing us, man, left and right. It didn't matter what. It didn't matter how much pressure I could, push in the back, to keep the back line from just free casting on us. It was just too much at the end. So, like I said, our early to mid we were doing fine, and then all of a sudden these guys got online, and we couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah, I can note just looking at the comp set, this definitely seems like if we don't win this early, we're gonna struggle late comp
Yeah.
because an Oleron can only do so much when he can't slow Cthulhu in his ult.
Exactly.
Thanatos is in the air, and then there's a Ganesha dropping pillars on him.
But the X ball, I can't see anything. Oh God.
And then and then the X ball ults, I'd imagine, just make it even more frustrating.
Yeah, we had a moment about 15 minutes in, right after we had just taken a fight on Gold Fury. And I don't think either team ended up with the Gold Fury at the end of it. It was one of those fights that just sort of goes on for too long and everybody just screws off. And after that fight, we had a moment where we were like, what if we just drop pillars on Oleron every single fight for the rest of the game? And that's basically exactly what we did for the rest of it.
Yeah, it worked. I'll tell you that. It was not fun.
But yeah, they worked out pretty well. I definitely feel like it forced some panic ults out of Oleron that, as a lineman said, doesn't really do a whole lot when Cthulhu's 30,000 feet tall, throwing balls of sludge at the top of your head.
Yeah, and lineman. So how did you take kind of the game one loss, unfortunately, and how did you take that, kind of adjust to game two and move on to kind of pick up victories in game 2 and 3?
With game 2, might I know, Vogel came back and wanted it in blood.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So we took a minute between the set. We was talking about it, and you know what? We could really give up one of our bands. I think we banned Pele Raijin, just the OP picks, the Pele, the Raijin, and I think we banned Thor or
You did.
Athena. I can't remember. Yeah, it was Thor. So going into this, we decided to get rid of Ganesha because I mean, if you've noticed, the set got casted. Their biggest initiator was the Ganesha ult, which was just so oppressive, and then they could just free cast and do whatever they wanted because we're locked down at that point. We decided to just ban out the Ganesha, and we played for a hard dive with the jungle. So we put I think game 2 we put Ross on the Thor, and I think we top picked the Thor Amma, and we were just looking like play for that duo side, get ahead early, and just basically keep them from being able to do anything, getting any farm. And same thing, about 15-20 minutes in, it was getting a little rough there for a while, but I think one of the biggest things was I made a call to put 3 over there dancing with the Fire Giant, and me and Fogel went left to go take an Oni Fury. Who was it? Oh, Go Nuts mid with that Chernobog pick. He's over there like just sitting there trying to take it from us, and I forced him out a little bit, and he immediately ulted to make a 5v3 fight over Fire Giant to kill everybody. While me and Fogel ended up taking the Oni Fury, and then I think our saving grace was Ross was able to get a 5-man dunk, kill Go Nuts, even though he sacrificed himself for him. Like they decided to go do fire, and me and Fogel TP'd in to contest, and that actually worked out in our favor by getting Fogel got a quadra kill on that, and then we picked up fire, and it was enhanced fire, so Also, Diesel respawned in as soon as the fire giant got down by us, and I think that was our leverage to just going in the game at that point.
All right.
But our mid to late was just a little messy still, but we're kind of tightening up on the ship on that.
Yeah, I was literally gonna bring up what Lyman brought up. That fire giant fight was definitely the turning point for that game. It was sort of a flip flop of game one, where we were running the game for about the first 15-20 minutes, and then we just made a split call on that fire giant. Which there's always room for improvement on stuff. Calls being listened to is definitely one of those points that, especially down here in the lower division, is something that people got to get used to. But yeah, that was a fight that we.
And then he was never heard from again.
He disappeared.
Sorry, my cat unplugged my headset. We either needed to dedicate that fight 5v3 as it was, because the whole point of having the Cherno is that you can do stuff like that. But once again, just a situation of people just playing out their preferred roles and whatnot. As Lineman was saying, also compared game 1 to game 2, from Lineman in the gang, Uchi on that Horus is absolutely nasty. Honestly, I think we should have banned it game 3. Literally everybody on our team was feeling that combo. That guy was absolutely shredding us with it. And other than that, like you said, Fogel came for revenge and blood. Let him on the Hachi, and Hachi versus anybody that doesn't have lane pressure is a struggle, let alone the Freya.
Yeah. Super abusable and everything.
Super abusable. Just in terms of teams, I definitely think we might have just lost that game in the draft a little bit. There's any squad to be going up against, like, team comp wise with a double ADC. It's not Agni and Thor, that's for sure.
Exactly.
So we had a good idea going with the draft, but we just didn't
quite put it all together.
We put it all together too early and let picks come out against it that just weren't it.
Right.
We probably should have hit our draft strat a little bit longer. Probably, if we're picking up something safe like the Cullen, we might as well just pick that up in the top 3 instead of waiting on it just to pick something that doesn't really need to be hidden at all. Like, okay, cool, they picked we picked a Cullen. What are they going to do? What are they going to lock against it? Especially when we already know that they got an Ama in the top 2.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, he was rocking it too, man. Learbeard, was it? Yeah. Learbeard, I mean, on that Colin, I mean, he was trying to do some things, man. He was, I mean, setting up for trying to get as much damage out, trying to keep everybody, in an area to where they could just free cast. Like, he was locking us down for the most part. Especially, y'all had the Kuzumo too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, those two, like, you guys were just making us like making us like use our relics and everything. And then, of course, you've got an Al Kwong. So I do remember I told Ross, I said, if we see Al Kwong, I'm going on him and you're following up just to get him out of the fight. And because if we didn't, we knew that our entire backline, including us, we would just been dead. I mean, Al Kwong is so oppressive. Like, we just had to figure out who do we really got to take care of, and then let the other guys do their thing. Like, I'll give you that. Learbeard was actually doing the thing, man.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I wasn't saying that Cullen was the problem. It was more of if we would have waited longer to get the double ADC on, we could have just honestly, I think a standard mage with the Cherno ADC would have been the play that game a lot more than what we picked.
Yeah, hate to cut you guys short, but
Short.
Yeah, all good. The game 3.
But yeah, that was game 2.
That was game 2.
Oh my lord!
And the award for the
And then
longest
they
John
won
about a
game
game
3.
goes to these two.
Yeah. And then they won game 3, and
And
we
then they,
moved
and they
on.
lived happily ever after.
Yeah, you want my thoughts on this set?
I mean, you're on
I
his
can do
team, so
quick.
sure.
I
You know
can
what?
do
Go
it
for
quick.
it.
Yeah, so I was watching this set, and I go, dude, this Apprentices team, they're really cooking, but something's missing. There's a piece of the puzzle that
Oh my God,
hasn't
he's
been
actually.
inserted yet.
Yes.
It was just like, it was like making some, like a cake. You're baking a cake, right? And you don't have any sugar, right?
Please
So
speed
I'm
the
like,
analogy up.
yes, something's missing.
Something's missing.
So
Was
I
it
decided.
Hakaday? Was Hakaday missing?
So I decided to take my towns to South Beach.
Oh my God.
Cool. All
That's
right.
even worse because I'm literally from South Beach.
I should have snatched your dumbass up.
Thank you.
Wait, what? How are you from South Beach?
I don't want to get.
And now,
we'll get.
and now, all I have to say is it's Apprentices division.
Oh my God, he
Please go.
did it. All right, well that's it. Apprentices are turning.
And we
Yep.
lose.
And
Yep.
If there's
third-
if there's one
Alright.
note that I can say about this set, or not about this set, about game 3,
Mhm.
I think we had game 3 after that pentakill by Casey. Shout out the man.
You did.
And we were walking up lane. I don't know who on my team said it. Somebody was like, bomb Phoenix. And I bombed the Phoenix and didn't save it for the Titan. Threw that damage out the window.
Mm.
And then Patro messed up the aggro on
Mm.
Titan from the minions. I think we had the end there. I think we had the end. And we just sort of threw it out the window and then got reversed ended. And that was one of the worst moments of my Smite career, I think.
Overall, it should seem really promising. Both teams super competitive. Both teams had a lot of standout moments, it seems. So very excited to see how they go in the future. I know that Lion and Hawk, you two have a set in like 12 minutes.
We do.
You want to leave for that?
I'm gonna hop
Oh
on.
well, that's it. Don't even tune in, guys. The Apprentices are bound to lose thanks to Hawk's
Thanks
proclamation.
to Hawks.
Exactly.
Proclamation. 12 minutes before the
Sorry,
set is gold.
gotta show these marks their business.
Okay.
Yeah,
They're
definitely
more-
going to try to pick up some scrims against linemen, especially given we already had our game out.
Mhm.
And obviously we know they can come to play. So
Bye.
But yeah, thank you. On to predictions. Finally get to.
We just got the predictions?
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
they were yapping.
Are you kidding me?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
somebody let me consume something in between conversations.
Yeah.
I've been talking a lot.
Expert, please thoughts on Foreman versus Swarm for this next week.
Are you kidding me?
I'm
We just got here.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I
the
thought-
last
I
30 minutes
thought-
was
I
like
thought-
We're
talking about the
Abyss.
single
We're
match.
talking Abyss,
We're
right?
talking about
A
a
bit of
Abyss,
this, of this.
Yeah, well, honestly, having Kaizo, having Helenu, I think that team's gonna win.
Right.
I'll keep it short because
Duo.
I don't want to be here till 9.
Think it's a relative 2-0.
Yeah, probably.
Okay. Azure, what about you?
If BurgerBot doesn't behave like a BurgerBot and misses set, this is a 2-0, I think.
2-0 as well. I'm in the same boat. I'm a Justin Hu fan, but I'm a bit more of a BurgerBot Kaizo fan. Those two have just been doing it too long.
Of course you are,
together.
because you're biased.
I'm so biased. I ever. not been
So of
biased.
course you're agreeing with what we're saying.
Okay.
Have some
Okay, then.
disagreement.
On to our next one. We have Revenants versus Gekukujo. I'm a Revenants fan for this set. I think Revenants that's a nasty team, and they showed that game week 1. Jor, your thoughts?
As a big fan of Gecko Jar, as Narwhal calls it, it's Gekukujo 1.
All right, and expert.
I'm only a fan because I won.
Well said. Well said.
Mhm.
Yeah, Gecko Kujo's gonna 2-0 destroyer. Definitely.
Just right. Yeah, that's fair. On to Deep Sea. We have your set against Deathly's team, Tail D's, Kitsune. What are you thinking for yourself?
We don't know what Expert's gonna say.
Yeah, we
right.
do. Well, my team's actually horrible, unfortunately.
You mean your jungler?
But I think I can 1v5 these guys. These
Yeah.
absolute frauds.
You
No,
can
I mean my
carry.
team. Yeah, that's all.
yeah.
Quick 2-0 for us.
Quick to Narwhal, your thoughts?
He's
It's gonna be a travesty.
Gonna be a
Like
Travis?
it's gonna be 2-0. Like As of
Yeah,
now,
sounds right to
gonna
me.
be number one uncontested stock. However, I hope it keeps up. Otherwise, I'm not to say mean things.
Right. I'm very interested. My favorite part of every Sunday was the Narwhal stock tier list. And Azure, your thoughts on Hypers versus Tailed Beasts?
Oh wow, these hiccups are hitting me. Expert 2-0s, everybody.
Expert 2-0s, everybody.
Well
It's an
said.
expert div.
Well said.
It's an expert division, I'm afraid.
Honestly.
We have Onohonte and Race. Azure, what do you think your team is going to do?
I don't know if you were talking to me.
Oh, I
because-
was. Yeah.
So when someone says Azure, that usually refers to you.
Yeah, I had my earphones off.
Okay.
You NPC.
All right.
NPC, shut up.
So what do you think is going to happen in your set? How do you think that one's going to go?
I said if they run that troll lineup, we're 2-0ing.
Okay. Narwhal?
And if they don't, and if they run a real lineup, we're 2-1ing.
Okay. Narwhal, your thoughts?
I mean, if they show up with the same troll, like off rolls, they just 2-0 easy. It's like not even gonna be a question.
Mm-hmm. And if they show up with a lineup that you're more of a fan of?
Then it's gonna be a 2-0 regardless. It's just gonna be like 30, maybe 40 minutes.
Okay. Expert? Your
Well-
words of grace?
Yeah. Last week, Azure beat the fraud allegations. That's something Enraged Moose ADC will never do. So, I think whatever team Azure is on, who opens.
All right. I can agree with that. And then finally we have Narwhal. Your set. Oh no,
About to happen right now.
I'm
About to
skipping
like
around,
get
but yeah.
about to get dove by Brown. About to like bolt his teeth out of his mouth. All
Pretty sure it's
that.
the brown. It's our first look at the brown mid squad.
No, it is not.
Oh, it's not.
It is not.
The
No.
lineup has
It's
been
all-
updated.
Yeah, Gonna
It got
find
shut
out.
down before we got it.
it's gonna like kick Brown in the teeth.
Uh-huh.
Anyone else that jumps on me, all that.
So you think
you know, good
you're
stuff.
thinking 2-0 for
So did
yourself?
we? So in the middle of my hiccup attack, did we just glaze over the?
I
the
realized.
Hellas and the
I realized
Germans?
that I'll go back to it. I'll go back to it. Okay.
I know. I put my fraud allegations onto them, but geez, man, you can't overlook them.
So Narwhal,
Hopefully, I get to see Richard.
you think you're 2-0ing over Richard?
I respect Richard's game, my goat. However, I don't think he's gonna get much help.
I'm gonna say 2-0 then for you. I'm gonna say that's what your answer is.
2-0.
That's an
Let's go.
easy 2-0 for the Tyrants carrying the fraud 12-inch.
Expert, your thoughts? Tyrants versus Chefs.
Well, I think I have to root for my son 12-inch here. What team's he on?
My son
Tyrants.
is so crazy.
My son, bro, he got soloed like 8 times in scrim. He had no chance. Unfortunately, Brown Bazillion might be worse.
Fine.
So I'll go with 12-inch.
Okay. Azure.
I
Former
don't even know how I can follow that up.
former Tyrant and also former Chef. Who do you have?
I won rings on both of these two poverty franchises without me too. I 2-0 both of them because they're both frauds.
Okay. So which team 2-0 is the other one though?
Tyrants probably just 2-0 them.
Okay, thank you.
They're gonna carry the fraudulent 12-inch to a win.
So we have going back up. Helitz versus Journeyman. Helitz trying to beat the fraud allegations. Journeyman trying to continue looking like a really good team. Azure, your thoughts?
Okay, well, I'm just gonna keep this straight up. If the mid jungle duo actually perform this set, this could be a set of it. But if they perform like they did last week, it's just a 2-0 for the Journeyman. I think Drezzy's just gonna like do flips over them,
Fair.
and that's not even talking about his backline partner too.
Oh yeah. No, that him and Omni are just lethal together. Insane that they're both playing together again. Expert, your thoughts?
Well, it's really insane how they have the best and worst player in backline. So obviously,
Dreszy.
Omnibase is doing
Dreszy.
amazing. But I don't think Drezzy can win a set. I played AGL with him. We're up like 10k every game, and he's the only way we can possibly lose. He
Can
he
vouch.
jumps
He
in
is the
off
reason we
cooldown.
almost threw finals.
He jumps in off cooldown. It's insane. I'm taking
I'm-
the team not Drezzy.
Team that doesn't have
Who's
Jesse
on
it?
that team?
Drezzy's on the Journeyman, but the Helits are the
No,
team
no.
that I beat the fraud allegations on.
Oh my god, they're so bad.
Yeah, the Drezzy, I hate to say it, the Drezzy's 2-0.
No, it'll be 2-1. Drezzy will lose.
Uh,
Free Omni goat.
I mean, if they position like apes, like I watched their Piper game, then probably not Piper game, Fiend game.
Mm-hmm. So you're thinking 2-1, Narwhal? You thinking 2-0?
I'm thinking 2-0. I'm thinking 2-0.
I'm thinking 2-0. The Helots are not the Fiends.
I'm thinking 2-0. I think Dreszy can keep it in his pants for 2 seconds and not.
No, he can't. No,
yeah,
he
no, he
cannot.
can't. No,
I mean,
he
I don't think it's
cannot.
gonna matter. Like, who's gonna stop him? Like the jungle, the
The
solo
towers.
The
Towers.
towers.
That's usually the one that does.
I don't know. Like, they got 2 players versus 5, so like, you tell me how that's gonna end up.
On to
I mean, if Narwhal's just gonna come out and say that it was just the dual lane versus the world, I mean,
yeah.
All right, well, I'm gonna go have fun.
Have fun, Narwhal.
Yeah, really helpful podcasting, buddy.
On to Shallows, we have Fledglings versus Nagasune. Is your thoughts?
as long as your lineup actually shows up on time and doesn't get college diff like Chase did, I think Fledgling's just 2-0.
Yeah, same bit.
Unless, or if they give Timbo Thor, then Fledgling's 2-1.
That's a fair point. Yeah. Overall, P's and B's is gonna be the biggest thing. I'm in the 2-0 camp. Legionnaires versus Apprentices. I'm saying this is probably gonna be a 2-1 Apprentices. What are you thinking, Azure?
It's definitely gonna be a Bardenberg, which I believe the set is about to happen, right?
Yeah, like literally 3 minutes.
I think, man,
Mind you,
really hard to tell.
Mind you, Hawk also said before his set that he was that he was his division today. So.
Then the Legionnaires 2-0.
Exactly.
When you say it's your division, it never ends well.
It never ends well. Never seen it end well. Expert.
Oh well, I don't really care. Shadow's game still matter to me.
No, I was more.
I'll take green team.
I was okay.
I'll take. We were talking about how you called your division the expert division.
Oh, it is. Yeah, they're all
he doubled down, and I respect that. Honestly.
I respect it more than anything. We have Snails versus Ghouls. I say Ghouls 2-0.
I think Ghouls 2-0 with the Snails still trying to regroup from
yeah.
A bit of a mental moment last week.
Bit of a mental moment. Moment of all time. And then we have Priest versus Chefs. I'm still high on the Chef roster, so until proven otherwise, I say Chefs 2-0.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah. Cool.
We really burned through that, huh?
We did, yeah. It turned.
After the longest John of all time between Cactus and Lineman.
Those two need to not talk anymore. I don't think they'll ever be able to stop if they go at it.
So that is the podcast, though. Thank you guys for tuning in. A lot of it was on Shallows, but it happens sometimes. And yeah, we'll be back next week.
To be fair, Deep Sea was mostly we glazed through Abyss, and then Deep Sea was mostly me and Expert and Adora calling the other teams bad.
Yeah.
No,
so
not bad.
you Expert
Shit.
you Expert and Adora being yourselves.
Basically.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the cast. Thank you guys so much for.
Shout out to Plumber DZN.
What a garbage can. So no chance.
I'm gonna hit the end stream button before things get worse. Goodbye.